Hi, everyone, and welcome to Inside Immigration. I have a wonderful topic for you guys today. The topic is the U visa versus the T visa, everything you need to know. I'm attorney Yael Brudner. I'm an immigration attorney located in Irvine, California, which is Southern California, Orange County. And we represent clients from all over the world and helping them to really achieve their American dream, to be able to gain legal status here in the United States or to reunite with their loved ones here in the United States. And the topic for today is a very interesting one because I feel like it's not as known to a lot of people. So it's very important for me to talk about these things to spread the knowledge about them. And everything we'll say today is general information. Okay, it's not specific legal advice. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer these questions. At the end. So if you have a question for me, stick around. I promise to get to them at the end of our presentation today. Okay, so great topic. U visa versus the T visa. And you might have heard about these visas in the past. Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe you've heard about the U, but you haven't heard about the T, which is very common. A lot of people know about the U visa, but don't worry. Today, I'm going to talk about both, and I'm going to explain what they are and what situations would qualify for each. So the U visa is a visa for victims of crime, and the T visa is a visa for victims of labor trafficking. Both visas are humanitarian visas, meaning they are given to people that meet certain humanitarian reasons. Okay, and both of these visas are the two most forgiving visas in the whole world of immigration visas. They're very generous in a way that they both provide a lot of protections for people. And they forgive a lot of immigration violations or criminal violations. So you can apply, if you meet the requirements for the U or the T, you can apply and gain status in the United States, even if you've entered illegally, unlawfully, even if you have multiple entries to the United States unlawfully, even if you were deported before, even if you have a criminal record, even if you committed fraud. Really, it forgives almost everything. Not everything, but almost everything. It is one of the most, these two are the most generous immigration options out there. Okay. They both will lead to a green card, but not right away. So you first have to obtain these visas, have them for a certain amount of time, and then you can apply for your green card. Okay. But they definitely give a path to residency. Once you obtain these visas, you're able to work here and to get a work permit while you're waiting to be eligible to apply for your green card. Also, your family members might be eligible also for the U and the T visas based on their relationship to you. Okay, T is a little bit more generous in that way that even in certain circumstances, your siblings, your minor siblings might benefit if you get a T visa. Okay, so super generous and expansive protections if you have a T visa. Okay, so the commonality of these two is that they're very protective. They are very generous options. They forgive a lot of different violations, immigration violations and criminal records, and they can give status also to family members. And they both lead to a green card. Okay, so those are the similarities between the T and the U visas. These two options. Okay. So now let's dive in a little bit to the differences between them because they're similar, but they're not the same. They're two different options. And we can start with the U visa. The U visa is more known in the community. You know, people that are, looking into these things know mostly about the U visa. And the U visa is for victims of crimes. So people that have been a victim of a qualifying crime in the United States and that assisted law enforcement with the investigation of this crime. So that's a scary definition of it. Basically, anyone that was a victim that was harmed here and their crime qualifies. So unfortunately, not every victimization would be qualified, right? Generally, it's a more serious crime. If you were hurt, if it was a serious attack, or if there was significant criminal matter, most likely it would qualify. But sometimes there are cases where it's kind of on the border. So you have to be a victim of a qualifying crime. So some of the qualifying crimes are if you were assaulted seriously, so felonious assault, if you were, God forbid, kidnapped or raped, or someone tried to kill you, attempted murder. Those are really serious violations and crimes. So if you that ever happened to anyone, they would qualify for the U visa. But also there's other things that could qualify. Okay, so there's a list about 15 different crimes that qualify for the U visa. So you have to have been a victim of a crime in the U.S. of a qualifying crime, and you have to have assisted law enforcement. And practically speaking, assisted law enforcement means that you have to have reported the incident to the police. Okay. So, for example, if you are a victim of domestic violence and a spouse or a partner hurt you or tried to hurt you seriously, then you would have to call the police. You would have to report the incident. Okay. And if the police then wants to investigate, you have to participate in the investigation. Okay. If they want to ask you questions, you have to participate. If you say, no, I don't want to really, don't bother me, I don't want to anything to do with this, it could hurt your U visa case. Okay. So you have to be a victim of a qualifying crime and you have to have assisted law enforcement. Okay. Let's continue about the U's. Okay, so with the U visa, there's two parts to the process. So even before you even talk to immigration and ask for the U visa, you have to first talk to the police. You have to first get the police to certify that you were a victim of a qualifying crime and that you assisted police in the investigation, meaning that you reported the crime. Okay, so first, it starts with the certification. Once the police certifies that yes, you do meet those requirements, then you file your application with immigration for the U visa itself. Okay, so it's a multi-step process. You cannot file the U visa if the police does not certify. And that happens sometimes, and sometimes you have to go look for other agencies that can certify, but sometimes it happens. If the police isn't certified, you don't have a case. You can't even ask for the visa from immigration. Okay, so let's say everything goes good. You get the case certified, and then you file for the U visa. Then you are in a period of a wait time. Okay, unfortunately, the U visa is an extremely backlogged option. There's a lot more people interested in this visa and that have applied for it than there are visas available. Congress actually set a very specific minimum of visas that they can give per year for the U visa. So every year, this cap is met. So that means that there's a long wait time. Sometimes it can take 5, 6 years, 7 years to get a U visa. It's a long wait. What we are seeing is that immigration is giving work permits for people that have a bona fide case, meaning their case, looks good, looks as if it's going to qualify. Then after about 2, 3 years, you would be able to get a work permit while you're waiting. Okay, so the U visa, kind of the downside of it is that it's a very long process. There's a lot of people waiting in line for this, and you won't get a work permit right away. It takes time. Okay. So that's the U visa. That's kind of the U visa in a sum. The U visa forgives a lot of things. We already talked about this. Forgives your unlawful entry, forgives your multiple entries, forgives almost all the criminal convictions and arrests, and really forgives you for a lot of things. So if you qualify, if you get approved for your U visa, most likely you would be able to apply for your green card 3 years after you have your U visa. Okay. Perfect. And if anyone has questions, feel free to write them in the comments. I'm happy to answer any questions, or you can keep going with learning about the U visa and the T visa. If you're watching the recording of this, we are live. By the way, if you are watching the recording, feel free to just write your question in the comments. I will promise to get to them as I see them, even if you're watching this after the fact. Okay. And if this is the first time you've ever been on our channel, welcome. Thank you for coming. Nice to see you here. Please like and subscribe so you can get more information like this. Okay, perfect. So now let's talk about the T visa, because we did the U. Now let's talk about the T. The T stands for trafficking. Okay, and like the U visa, it's a humanitarian visa, and it's a visa that's available for victims of trafficking, either labor trafficking or sex trafficking. Now, when you think trafficking, and I know this is how I thought before I learned about the T visa and before I became, an attorney that does immigration law. You think T visa, you think people working in a factory and not being able to, have any breaks and really kind of living in with a lot of people in a small room, and it's dark and they can't go. They're physically forced to leave. That is definitely trafficking, but there's a lot of situations that are trafficking that is not that extreme, right? So trafficking really is a situation where someone is forced to to do labor, okay, work, or to commit a commercial sex, right? Forced to do that. Through force or through fraud or through coercion, meaning someone is making you do work against your will, okay? Either physically bringing you and making you do it, or through fraud or through coercion. Maybe they're threatening you that if you don't do the work, they will hurt you or they will hurt your family, okay? So T visa is a case where you are in a situation where you're forced to do labor against your will, or against what you thought that you were going to be doing, through fraud, through coercion, through force, through some kind of trickery. Okay. And let's talk about some situations where this can come up. So for example, if someone comes into the United States unlawfully, right? And they have an assistance, and maybe someone helps them, maybe a coyote or someone helps them cross the border. And the agreement was that they would pay this coyote and he would help them cross the border, right? But then when they get to the border, they cross, the coyote doesn't let them go, right? And the coyote says, well, now I'm not going to let you go. You're going to stay in this house and you're going to have to work and pay me back for what you owe me for bringing you in. Okay. That situation, if you are forced to work to get released, right, that could be considered trafficking. Okay. If you're forced to clean, if you're forced to cook, if you're forced to do labor, then against your will or against what you thought you would have to do, that could be considered trafficking. Okay. Another example, someone, let's say from a different country, is promised to come and be a nanny here in the United States. There's an employer that says, come, I will help you. You can come to the United States. You can come work for a family, and you can be a nanny, and you can make a lot of money, and you can just babysit children for a few hours a day, and then you can make all this money and you can send money back to your parents and you'll be able to live and work in the US. Okay, so they convince you to come to the United States with the promise of this wonderful job, and then when you get here, it's not like that. When you get to the United States, you're forced to clean, to cook, to take care of the children, yes, but to do other things, and you're forced to work many hours with very minimum pay. Okay, so this situation, if someone falls in this situation, that could be considered trafficking. Okay, so those are situations that are not as, they're very common, unfortunately, but it's not as typical as what you would think trafficking would be considered. Okay, and there's a lot of different situations where someone could have been subject to forced labor without even knowing, okay, without thinking that this is considered trafficking. The good thing about the T visa, as opposed to the U visa, is that the T visa's cap has never been met. So the wait time for T visas are not that long. A year and a half or 2 years, you can get your T visa approved. Okay, and you can get a work permit, and after 3 years, you can apply for your green card. Okay, so the T visa is an option, again, very forgiving. It forgives unlawful entry, it forgives multiple unlawful entries, it forgives criminal convictions, almost all of them. Okay, not all of them. So those are oh, and another difference between the T visa is that you do not need the police to certify your case, right? So with the U visa, you need the police to certify, whereas with the T visa, you still have to report the trafficking occurred, but you do not need to get the police or the FBI or whoever you're reporting to certify as a condition to filing this visa. Okay, so those are the main differences, similarities and differences between the U and the T. Both are really, really good options. So if you think that you might qualify, I really encourage you to reach out, have a consultation with an attorney, an immigration attorney, to see if you could qualify, because this could be a great option for you and your entire family to be able to become permanent residents in the US and fix your status. Okay. Wonderful. Well, it's great to be here. Great talking to you about these visas. If you're watching this in the recording, please feel free to ask any questions if you have. And please follow us, subscribe to our channel to get more information about immigration options. And until next time, I'm Attorney Yael Brudner, and I'm so happy to be here and talk to you guys about these topics.